we're here together, which doesn't happen very often without parental supervision. So.
Okay, we are here for the Mixtape Podcast. This is going to be a two-parter episode. We're going to have a very special guest that we've been talking about for the last 2 seasons. You think he would be the easiest guest to get. He has been the hardest guest to get because he has no internet at his house. So we're just going to jump right in since we have 2 parts.
I live in a fucking rock.
You're supposed to pretend not to be here. So we're just gonna start. So our guest for these 2 episodes is the man, the myth, the legend, and the one audience member we have retained over the last 2 seasons. Please welcome my brother, Vincent Ugalde.
Affectionately known as that fucking Ugalde guy.
He's that motherfucker Ugalde in my text, in my contacts, and I mean that affectionately. He's not wrong. So we did talk a little bit about how we were going to do these episodes before we actually started recording. And I kind of realized that because we're 9 years apart, he has a lot of youth outside of the house that I don't know what happened because he had a social life that I didn't know about. So I realized I don't actually know what his first concert was. So really, this isn't going to be any different than having other guests on because we got up to some shit that our parents didn't know about, and I don't think we know about with each other either. So first concert, what was it?
Trace Adkins.
Oh, a big name, especially for where we're from. I mean, Reno gets big names now, but I feel like when we were younger, it was.
And he was like that was still, pardon me, during his prime when he was. Yeah.
But yeah, because you said it was when you were in college. So
just barely college, probably.
Like
right after I graduated.
2009, yeah.
Yeah, 9, 10, somewhere in there. And then Brian Regan, I saw shortly thereafter.
This is a fantastic debate for you and I to have, but I know we're both going to agree on is whether or not you should count comedy shows as concerts.
Right.
Because if that's true, the first concert that I've been to is the Steve Martin Short show that you and I went to when I was in college. Which I don't think that's a concert, but
I'm saying
we're a little too into comedy for us to not count them,
right.
I think. So Trace Adkins in 2009, that would have been like peak. I probably would have stopped listening to country music on the radio like 2 years after that. So that would have been
the time that you were able to appropriate your own taste and not listen to
get your
AM
own
radio
iPod and stuff.
AM radio and mom's pickup.
Yeah. So did you go like just with friends or did you go?
My girlfriend at the time.
Oh, was this like early into that relationship?
Yes, very early.
Ooh, so
because we started dating when 2009.
So you guys were trying to like impress each other then. And you went to a Trace Adkins concert?
Her parents got the concert tickets for us. It was for her birthday.
Weird.
Yes. Brian Regan.
That's why she's not his wife.
Also saw with her, but I bought those tickets.
Oh yeah, because you guys worked together for a bit.
Quite a while.
Yeah. Just saying, things work out for a reason.
Yeah. My wife hasn't taken me to a concert.
Oh, got him. She doesn't listen to this. She'll never.
No, she only listens to it when I do.
She'll never hear this until like 10 years later. She's going to be like, what did you say about me?
Yeah, there's a fair point. Yeah.
So that was your first concert here.
Yes.
Because we were raised on, I would say we were raised on multi-genre. We weren't really only raised on country music.
Right, because Dad was more of the classic rock.
And then like he also, because of our grandma too, I feel like we got a lot of 50s music, a lot of like early 60s like
and
folk
Mom was
music.
A closet 70s fan. I mean, Neil Diamond.
Ugh, yeah, Barry Manilow, the bane of my existence.
Yes, yep.
What was that other CD? When we moved houses, Vince was he was in college by this point, but we had moved houses when I was about to start middle school. And we had combined our record collection, which was like in a storage unit on our property that I had never really seen before, with a bunch of records that my grandma had in the house already. And that's when we found all of Mom's records.
Right, because that record collection, I think, was primarily Mom's.
And it was
when we moved to Nevada.
Yeah, I probably, because most of it was like the soundtrack to Yentl and like
Conway Twitty's greatest hits.
And like Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh yes, yep, 100%.
And then all those like kid albums that you like, the Mickey Mouse, like 50s
that brings back
kids albums and like all those. And I was like, Mom has bad music taste.
Right. But I think a lot of which I've brought this tradition into my current, because it was Saturday morning breakfast was always Dad's. And that's, I think, what broadened broadened our horizons from Saturday morning cartoons to more, because both of us, I feel like music's a big part of.
Yeah. And also like, it was like the TV music channels. So it was
those two. But that was like back before internet radio was a thing. Back before Spotify.
Okay, so I feel like we should make this disclaimer in the recording too, but we were talking about before recording how we're not kids of the 80s. Vince is kind of, because he was born in 89, so he's on the cusp, I guess. But we were kids of the 80s without being kids of the 80s, because we had like DSL and like we did not have internet, so like we had to do the like can't use the phone and the internet at the same time. We had
encyclopedias.
We had landlines that were like the long cord, and it was like the 80s, like clear, like you could see the wires inside. And before that, we did have a rotary phone. I will die on this hill if anyone tells us that memory was wrong. We had a rotary phone for a little bit. And we had, I feel like there was another thing we had the first house that we grew up in together, very like light purple Formica countertop, light pink.
It had pink trim on the outside.
Very very 80s, 90s. So the TV music channels were like, I mean, they still exist if you have cable or whatever, but it's like all the decades music. So it's like they would turn on like the 70s, because they both like the 70s music, because it was like half rock and half folk. So like they could both be happy. And
I do remember Dad's cassette collection, because that used to come out before.
Big ass box. He had a cardboard box that he like cut to shape for the cassette tapes, and it was like 2 rows stacked on top of it. So it was like 4 rows of cassettes, which he still has.
Yes, but that's the music I remember,
because
there was the mornings of those, like the George Strait mornings, and then the Allman Brothers, the Mavericks,
Fleetwood Mac for sure.
Mac.
And we had the cassette tape and the sound system.
Yes, we did.
Remember that? I totally forgot about?
So like the 4-foot speakers.
Yeah, and the little cassette deck that was like in the middle with like the DVD player and the VHS player.
Yeah, exactly. The 8-track.
And the non-flat screen TV. Yeah. Oh, I forgot about the cassette deck thing. Yeah, we had all those cassettes and CDs. And I didn't even know we had records until we moved houses.
We never had a record player at the old house.
Yeah.
If we did, it was in storage and didn't come out, or it didn't work.
Yeah.
Because Grandma and Grandpa had the record player.
They had that whole like bougie sound setup. Yeah.
It was bougie in 1983.
Yeah. But it was nice when we got it.
Yes, it was.
Like, whoa. But yeah, that's true. We did have all of those cassettes I totally forgot about. And then like we would go camping and fishing. Mm-hmm. We had all the music for the truck and the car. And then when we had upgraded from the Suburban to the Ford, Mom's cars, we had the multi-CD. You could have 6 CDs in the car at once. And we were like, this changes everything. And then Dad got the 4Runner and got the little like Bluetooth plug into the 12 volt.
And you're the one that got him into digital music.
Well, Mom bought him an iPod Shuffle.
Right.
And
back
then
when can you even buy an iPod anymore?
I don't know, but it was also like you didn't have a subscription for Apple where you could just download stuff. You
No,
still
you
had to
had to
have
buy
the
the
gift
99-cent
cards.
songs. Yeah.
Yeah, and if they were popular, they were $1.25. Most of the songs Dad bought were 69 cents because they weren't famous enough.
Right. The B side of every.
And like, yeah, he stacked that thing. I think the first month he got it, that was like, you get every birthday, Christmas, Father's Day,
that was
whatever.
the thing.
You got iTunes cards, and I think he had like 600 songs on it within like a month.
Yeah.
And he like curated these playlists, and he didn't know how shuffle worked. And so then one time somebody, like, I think he had the little iHome speaker.
Oh, yep. I remember that.
Pressed shuffle, and he was like, "You mixed up my playlist." And I was like, "No, it's just playing them in a different order. It's still the same. Everything's fine." Like, he was curating the shuffle like it was going to be deleted forever. That was like the whole thing. I remember that.
Yes.
And that was his thing when he would mow the lawn. The iPod shuffle was like the best invention since sliced cake, because he was like, "Oh, I don't have to have." He used to have that Walkman.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
yes,
we skipped over a whole thing. He used to have the Walkman with the headphones you see when people are trying to tell you in TV shows that it's the 80s. The wire frame, the really tiny head, the earpieces, and the bright yellow cord. And it went into it was a cassette and an AM FM radio Walkman. And he used to use that.
Yes. That's right.
And we got him the iPod shuffle, and he was like, "This changes mowing the lawn for generations."
Right.
And then we didn't get phones. You got a phone when you were like 18, 17?
17 when I was working with Bart for Civic First. I got a company phone.
Yeah.
But that was still the old Nokia brick.
Oh, yeah.
I got my first real phone when I was 8. I bought it myself when I was 18.
That's right. And then my first phone I got when I was like 17 or 16. Mm-hmm. So we didn't even have our own like music to play on the bus or whatever until well into high school.
Yes.
And before that, we were just talking about, like, I used to bring a CD player and, like, a CD carrier with, like, 4 CDs. And I was like, that'll last me a week. And then I'll rotate these out when I'm done listening to them all. And then there was a really brief amount of time, our mom's parents, they used to buy Christmas gifts out of that, like, Discovery Channel magazine.
Oh, yeah.
And Grandma got this like knockoff MP3 player, but you had to like put all the songs on like an SD card and then put the SD card in it was like a Mickey Mouse thing or something. Yes,
I vaguely remember that.
And so we literally just copy and pasted all the songs we had from Dad's Shuffle because they were already downloaded.
Right.
So we didn't have to get new music, and we just put them on the SD card. So I just had all the songs Dad had and just had to like pretend that they were mine.
Right. Huh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
We've had an interesting music journey.
Yes.
So, all that to say, this is going to be an interesting soundtrack, I think, for the two of us. Okay. I mean, that's a good first concert. That's a best first concert than I would have had. So, kudos to you.
I suppose.
Have you gone to more music concerts or comedy shows?
I've only been to, with you, I've 2 and 2. I've only been to 2 real concerts.
What was the other one?
Tracy Lawrence and the Nugget.
Wow.
That one was a badass show. I mean,
badass show?
Well, maybe not necessarily. That might not be it was a very intimate show because the Nugget Amphitheater is tiny. But it's very tall. Yeah. So our cheap seats, we were still fairly close to the stage.
Yeah.
And I went there as a third wheel with some friends from college.
What a weird 2 musicians. That's like,
yeah.
We just talked about how we have weird music taste. Right. And you're like, my 2 concerts were Trace Adkins and Tracy Chapman.
Right. Tracy Lawrence.
Oh, Tracy Lawrence.
Yeah.
Still weird.
Yes.
Tracy Lawrence. Okay. I think I've only ever been to a concert and a half. Oh, that's music.
How do you go to half a concert?
Because I went to one in college that was 3 bands. So it was Weezer.
Oh, I remember you talking about
Fall Out Boy and Green Day. And then I don't know if seeing a DJ is a concert, because now DJs are like the thing.
Right.
Like now it's like, somebody by their name. You're like, oh, this is like the DJ. Like, I want to go see this DJ.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't really know if those count because those are technically sets.
Right.
And you go to like a club, you're not going to a concert. But like,
I guess I've been to a couple of couple local guys, like in Virginia City. There's a guy that's a cowboy musician that Sam and I've seen a couple. I actually went to school with this kid.
But that's the other thing too that I feel like we've skipped over is our dad's side of the family incredibly musically talented, just like as a hobby.
Right.
And so when we would have parties, they all would just like play guitars and accordions and
where
like
everybody broke. Yeah, Grandpa played the accordion,
harmonicas.
Chet Farrell
did the accordion. Yeah, Grandpa used to do the harmonica. Taught himself piano, and then Uncle Jimmy did guitar.
Marty was the drummer.
Oh yeah, still a good drummer, by the way.
Yeah.
And then like all of our aunts and like girl cousins sing really well, and so they'd have like 3 mics set up, and they would just like all be good at stuff.
And then we have mom's side of the family. We have a doctor and a lack of talent.
Can't carry a fucking tune to save their life. I used to be so embarrassed when we would go to church and I would stand next to mom and hear her sing like whatever hymn for the beginning of church. And I was like, God, that's so off pitch. It's so bad. But like that whole side of that family being naturally talented and like never like, oh, I play the drum. Like they were just like, I'll do it if you want me to do it. Mm-hmm. And like they all just like know a bunch of music because they all then when they get drunk at our parties they just sing whatever.
Yeah, that made the family reunion so much fun because it always ended up being music until the wee hours of the mornings or until the sheriff came and the neighbors bitched.
We had the oldest aunt making breakfast at 6 a.m. while the other 2 aunts
Grandpa's
were
funeral.
Singing songs still.
Yes. Yeah, when Ariane started making
chorizo and eggs.
Chorizo hash, whatever it was.
And Annalisa and Vivian and Lisana and like all of them just like singing at the mic. For some reason, I always remember American Pie. I'm sure they sang so many other songs.
Yeah, but that was like Uncle Jimmy's. Like that was his go-to song, though. I feel like every time he was there, that song came out of
Eagles, a lot of Eagles stuff.
Yeah,
very
that was
70s.
His
70s,
his wheelhouse of
yacht rock.
Yeah.
Gee, I wonder why our dad likes it so much. But yeah, we've had a very eclectic music background. So we're gonna get into the first song because I say this every episode. I am blood related to this person and I still don't know what songs he's gonna pick. But this is the most nervous I've been that the track that I in general, this is the most nervous I've been. But also this is the most nervous I've been for like the track that I have to pick at the end because I think we have the same memories for the same songs. So this is gonna be very much like a chess game more than anything else. So let's just get into the first song, I guess. Let's just do it. What is it? Go. Rip it up.
So I had 4 songs. The order I have not really been sure of.
Oh, but okay.
The way that it's introed, the first song I have goes back to our first concert together.
Okay.
Steve Martin, the Steep Canyon Rangers, and King Tut.
Okay. You know what though? That's an excellent choice because I remember us going to that show
thinking that this song would never be sang.
Yeah,
and the one song that I wanted to find, I cannot remember the name of it, was when his band came out, when the Steep Canyon Rangers came out, about the train wreck, and I can't.
Well, I remember us going to that show. They didn't advertise that there was going to be a bluegrass band with them. We just assumed it was those 2 comics. And then there was this band there.
And that's before I realized that Steve Martin even had a band.
Yeah, we also didn't know he played banjo. You knew because he would do it in sketches or whatever, but we didn't know he was like actively like doing it as a musician.
Right.
And so, there's like a bluegrass band on stage, and we were like, who the fuck are these guys? And then they knocked it out of the park. Every time they play a song, Vince and I were like, these guys are incredible. We were very impressed by this group. And then, they did some other song that we liked first. It was like, same album. It was the Atheists Don't Have Songs one. That one started, and we were like, oh, this song is like great.
Right. And then we went on a quest to find more of their.
We were like, oh, they'll not do King Tut because like Steve Martin, like he's not gonna do the famous stuff because like, you know, they're like in a duo now.
Right.
And like, how are you gonna do like a 70s funk band like out of nowhere? That would be crazy. And then I remember Martin Short doing the Jiminy Glick character.
Yes, that's right.
And we were like, oh, if he does Jiminy Glick, then like maybe he does King Tut. And then they did this like bluegrass King Tut, and we were like, this is the best cover you could do of this. It was so good. And I still actively listen to that song sometimes. If I'm like, I want to listen to comedy music, but like I don't want to like listen
not
to
quite a parody
special or something, I'll listen to that. And I'm like, hell yeah. Yeah, it's a great first choice. So King Tut is on the Rare Bird Alert album, which is Steve Martin and the Steep Canyon Rangers. It was released in 2010. It is a good album overall, so I would recommend listening to the album for sure. But yes, King Tut is the last track on the album. The entire album was released January 1st, 2011, and King Tut was a single on that album. So we will listen to that now.
He's my favorite honky. Born in Arizona, moved to Babylonia, King Tut. Tut, tut. Dancing by the Nile. Tut, tut. The ladies love his style. Tut, tut. Rocking for a mile. Tut, tut. He ate a crocodile. He gave his life for tourism. Tut.
I didn't think that was going to be on this list at all. So now I'm a little bit more nervous for the second song. So let's jump in. Well, I guess we didn't really talk about the first one. I know why you picked it because of the show we went to. And we talked about the band a little bit. So it's fine. We're covered. So let's just go into the second song.
So the second song goes back to our childhood. And I don't know if you can really call them a band.
Okay.
But it's a song.
Nervous.
It's a song about a hairbrush.
Oh, yes! This is going to be the best mixtape in human history. Okay, yes, reveal it.
This is the Hairbrush song by the VeggieTales.
Okay, so let's start first with this little tale here.
So when Vivian asked me to be on this, she's like, so I want you to be on my podcast. I was like, the VeggieTales song. That was
the first thing.
That is the first thing that popped into my mind. The other songs, I mean, they kind of go back to our like similar, but yeah. Like,
but I don't know
this
why.
This got postponed several times, and Vivian kept saying, "It's like you better have a backup playlist in case some of your songs get chosen." It's like there's no way in hell.
There's no way
anybody is going to choose music that I have.
You're right. There's no way somebody was going to pick that song. Okay, so VeggieTales. First of all, in case we haven't made this joke every other episode of the podcast, we grew up in a very Catholic household. Let's start there. Then we have an aunt who used to like volunteer for the Catholic Church in the city that she is from, and she had this like best of sing-along tape that she gave us because I was like a toddler at the time, and so it's like educational Christian whatever. But they were like peak 90s. Like, you want to know why everyone in this generation who was raised Catholic has a weird sense of humor? It's because of the VeggieTales. It was like early animation, so it was like kind of impressive what they did just in a sheer like technology level because it was like 3D animation. Yeah. It was a sing-along, so they had like the words at the bottom. And it was like VeggieTales, like it's in the name. So it was like cucumbers, tomatoes, asparagus, stalks, peas, squashes and gourds, a coconut, I think, at one point, some pickles or whatever the the weird old guy is.
Right.
Larry
the Cucumber.
Yeah, Larry the Cucumber is the hairbrush song. So we had this like sing-along video. So I never saw like a complete episode of the VeggieTales. It was just the one tape we had.
Yes, I think so.
And so it was like a best of. It was like every song from like their movies they made, and then whatever the silly songs with Larry's were like scene breaks. They were just like these random bits. And that was like my bread and butter, was those silly songs with Larry. And like, first of all, I will not shame myself for this. I still actively listen to those songs sometimes. And they were just like, it was kind of like sketch comedy, but like for kids, but it was like other stuff that was made when we were kids, where it was like, there were jokes in it for the parents. And so as you revisit it when you're older, you're like, oh, this is still good.
Right.
And so the VeggieTales was just like, I don't even know. They're just some weirdos. And they still exist now. I think they're on like Netflix or something.
PBS.
And they like are like soft animation now. Like they're not as like
not hardcore Christian like they used to could be.
No, I mean like they're like very like bubbly. They're very like smooth, and like everything's like
gosh. Okay.
And it's like lost its whatever weird was going on. You
right.
know what I mean? So the VeggieTales that I grew up on, the album is Veggie Tunes from 1995. And again, listen to the whole album. Just do it. So there'll be songs on there from stories, like I said, of movies they did or things like that. I don't know what any of those are about, but I know the songs. So the hairbrush song, November 22nd, 1995, this album was released. Again, it's called Veggie Tunes. So why this song? I know you said you didn't really make an order, but why King Tut and then VeggieTales?
So,
because saving it for a second, good move. If you came out of the gate with that, it would have been weird from the get-go.
Right, and that was, I thought, because like I said, this was the primary song that I chose, but the original premise of your first season when this started out was the playlist to get in your pants. And I was like, this seems very Alabama sexual. So I kind of built this playlist kind of like just based on our sibling relationship. But I do remember the hairbrush song, again, part of those Saturday morning things, because it is right. Larry the Cucumber sings this song to whatever the tomato guy's name is. Yeah. The tomato obviously is bald, and how he needs a hairbrush. And our dad used to sing this song because he is also bald. So that was kind of the premise behind this. And I was like,
I honestly will still, like, when I was packing to come here and I was like looking for stuff to put in my kit, and like if I can't find my hairbrush, I'll be like, where? It's just such a good earworm. Yes. Okay, well, these are great. None of these are what I thought were going to be on this list. So we'll play some of this hairbrush song by the VeggieTales.
Potter gains his composure and reports. I think I saw a hairbrush back there.
Back there with my hairbrush. Back there with my hairbrush. Back there, oh where back there, oh where back there, back there, back there is my hairbrush.
Having heard his joyous proclamation, Junior Asparagus enters the scene. Shocked and slightly embarrassed at the sight of Larry in a towel, Junior regains his composure and comments,
"Why do you need a hairbrush? You don't have any hair!"
Larry is taken aback. The thought had never occurred to him. No hair? What will this mean? What will become of him? What will become of his hairbrush? Larry wonders.
No hair for my hairbrush. No hair for my hairbrush. No hair, no hair, nowhere, no hair, no hair, no hair, nowhere back there.
That was again the hairbrush song by the VeggieTales. I have nothing to say to any of this because I feel like my brain is just melting as we speak by these choices. So we're just gonna go straight into song 3. What do you got for me?
So song 3 is a cover.
Okay.
Which again goes back to our music has kind of helped our relationship. It kind of we've always been able to get together through music, but our love of movies also.
Okay.
So I think you know what this one is.
Maybe, but I don't want to say it because then if I'm wrong, it's gonna out me.
It is Rawhide by the Blues Brothers.
That's not at all what I was gonna say. So I'm glad I didn't say what I was gonna say.
Because Blues Brothers, I feel like probably one of Dad's favorite movies. Totally. Definitely one that you and I enjoy watching together.
Yeah.
And
also, I have this theory that I'm not really shared with anyone, and I don't really know if it's that wrong of a theory, but I feel like Blues Brothers is a musical without it being a musical.
I could totally, yes.
Like, there's music in it, the cast sing the songs.
The casts are mostly musicians.
Yeah, it doesn't really the rule of a musical is that the music's supposed to like further the plot or whatever.
Oh.
So like that's why it's like it's not a musical, but like
it definitely supports the plot.
Yeah, because like Aretha Franklin sings a song about not wanting her husband to leave the like.
Right.
It's not just like random covers that they just like throw into the movie. And
except for Rawhide. Well, I guess it is at a cowboy bar.
Yeah, it's one of the only 2 country songs they know. That's why they sing it.
Stand by your man. And that was my other one, but you can't do Stand by Your Man by the Blues Brothers without
Sure. I think this is going to sound like a weird comparison, but I think that this is what they're going to try and do with that new Joker movie because it's supposed to be a musical.
Oh, okay.
So it's like Lady Gaga and the dude who plays the Joker, Joaquin Phoenix, and they're supposed to be singing covers of songs. It's not like original music.
Oh, interesting.
And so I saw the trailer a couple days ago, and they're singing like songs because it's supposed to be like New York in the 80s.
Oh, gotcha.
So they're singing like 60s through 80s like covers of songs, and so now I'm like, okay, so we're just stealing from the Blues Brothers now,
right?
But yeah, of all the Blues Brothers songs that they do, Rawhide was such a good choice. So there's a thing in Los Angeles that I went to last year. Okay. That was Alexa in the background. I don't know what they were saying, but something.
Everybody knows this is nowhere.
You want to listen to that song? That's what Alexa was trying to have us listen to. So there's a show that came to Los Angeles last year. They do these for like other movies as well. This isn't like an uncommon thing, but it's like the screening of the movie and then a band plays the music of the song like while the movie is screening. And they did this for the Blues Brothers at a bar in Los Angeles last year. My God, it was so good. It was so good. It was like there's a cover. It's not really a cover because he was the original musician, but Cab Calloway is in the movie, and he sings Minnie the Moocher. And there's a section in that song of the trumpet that I love every time I hear it. That song never gets old. And this little like 4-person band did that song, and we were just like in this little bar. It was so good, and they all like changed outfits for different things. So like when the James Brown song came up, they put on like choir robes. And then like when they were the actual Blues Brothers songs, they put on shades, and like they had all of this stuff, and they had like a nun. There's like a little stage with like wooden stairs at this bar. They had the nun from upstairs, like in the scene of the movie, like incredible performances. But this is one of those movies where I think a lot of people in our generation haven't seen it, but it's still very popular because like they would reference it, like Drake and Josh do like a Blues Brothers thing, and like the Blues Brothers themselves are popular, but I don't think a lot of people our age have seen the movie.
Right.
And this is one that I will die on a hill telling everybody to watch because it's just like everybody's so good in it. The cameos of musicians in it are incredible. You have James Brown, Cab Calloway, Aretha Franklin, There's the dude. Ray Charles is
Oh, that's
also
right.
in it.
He, the music shop owner.
And then there's like the guy who's like the promoter that I can't remember his name, but he's a musician. John Candy's in it.
Yeah.
Just like an incredible cast. So watch the movie if you haven't. The movie came out in 1980. The soundtrack also came out in 1980, January 1st of 1980. The theme from Rawhide is available on that. If you're listening on streaming, there's some songs that they will not release because of music rights. So you can't hear like Stand By Your Man. You can't hear, I think Aretha Franklin's song might be unavailable. There's a couple of songs, depending on what platform you use, aren't licensed. But the theme from Rawhide is available on all platforms. But I would promote both the movie and the soundtrack for this. A lot of it is soul music. That's kind of the point of the movie. So if you're like a Sam and Dave fan, if you're a James Brown fan, if you're a Ray Charles fan, any of that kind of like 60s, 70s, like soul funk music, it's all in there. So watch the movie and we'll play some themes from the
Keep moving, 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 though they're disapproving. Keep them doggies moving rawhide. Don't try to understand them, just rope, crow, and brand them. Soon we'll be living high and wide. My heart's calculating, my true love will be waiting at the end of my ride. Move 'em on, hit 'em up, hit 'em up.
Rawhide, covered by the Blues Brothers, aka Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi, or Joliet Elwood? No,
Joliet's the name of the Jake and Elwood.
Jake and Elwood
Blues.
Yeah.
Joliet was the prison.
Sounds like we have to rewatch the movie for the 100th time. Okay, so Vince has a bonus track for us. So we're going to jump into the bonus track as if these three need anything else to compete with. But maybe we'll have a nice, interesting bow to wrap on this gift. So let's get into the bonus track.
All right, so this song I feel like has been used anytime that her and I test out a new stereo system, new speakers.
Hell yeah.
This is Frankenstein by the Edgar Winter Band.
Yeah.
And mostly the drum solo that goes across all of the speakers.
So there's two songs that we do this with. This is one, and I appreciate that he picked this one and not the other one because I like that this is like a deeper cut for us, kind of, in a way. It's not really because obviously we both play it, but the other one we use this for is Crosstown Traffic. If you get a surround sound system put into your house or something, play these two songs and see what it sounds like. Or if you're in your car, you're driving like alone or whatever, crank that audio up and play it. They both have a great like left to right travel sound in the speaker. Chef's kiss. Yeah, Crosstown Traffic, it starts right at the top of the song, so you really have to like be set up for it. But this one also great. Why did you pick this one instead of Crosstown Traffic?
First one that came to my mind.
Just the vibe.
Just the vibe, yeah. It's a great song, great instrumental song, but that drum solo, every new vehicle, every new stereo, and then I feel like
This is also kind of a good double dip because this album has the song Free Ride on it, which we both know from a movie, Air America.
Oh, that's
Anybody
right.
hasn't seen that movie, another good one to watch. So this is kind of really a when I say a bow on the package, this is kind of great because it kind of ties in. We know we find our music from movies we like. This is a great song. That's a great song. They're both on the same album. The album cover is weird, but I like it. The album came out November 30th, 1972. Again, the song that we talked about, Frankenstein is on it, but also Free Ride if you want to get a 2-for-1 bonus track on there. Listen to both. And what an interesting close to, we have 3 meme songs and then we have 1 real song. So we'll play some Edgar Winter right here and then we'll come back and close out. Winter Band off the mic while you guys were listening to the sample. We did realize that song is also in Wayne's World, so we got enough little references for everybody in here. This was a fantastic mixtape. If anybody's listening to the mixtape with all the episode songs on it, this is gonna be a hard right turn. But regardless, what a great mixtape. I mean, again, I've never had anybody bring a bad mixtape on here. And again, I've said this 1,000 times, but every time somebody brings a mixtape on here, I'm always like, oh, they're probably gonna pick this stuff or maybe this stuff. And then they pick none of those things. And I'm always like, oh, those are great choices. So, yeah. This was great. Again, this is part 1 of a 2-parter. So stick around. The second part is going to be released on schedule. So we're not going to have 2 episodes on the same week. So you'll have to wait 2 weeks to hear part 2. But we will have a 2-parter related to, instead of a mixtape, we're going to be talking about wedding music and creating a playlist or DJing for weddings, because I DJ'd for his wedding. So we're going to talk about that. I want to thank Vince for coming today. You can find him underground looking at rocks and shit, or you can find him working on some wood in his garage while we listen to the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme song. That's an inside joke for him. And I'm so glad he remembers it. But we'll close out with some Fresh Prince, and we will see you all on the next episode.
Started making trouble in my neighborhood. I got in one little fight and my mom got scared and said, you're moving with your auntie and uncle in Bel Air. I begged and pleaded with her day after day, but she packed my suitcase and sent me on my way. She gave me a kiss and then she gave me my ticket. I put my Walkman on and said I might as well kick it. First class, yo, this is bad. Drinking orange juice out of a champagne glass. Is this what the people of Bel Air living like? This might be alright. I whistled for a cab, and when it came near, the license plate said fresh and it had dice in the mirror. If anything, I could say that this cab was rare, but I thought, man, forget it. Yo, home's the Bel